Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. This Chicago Fire character's return could spell the end for Chief Pascal. We're not here to rag on Chief Dom Pascal, Dermot Mulroney. The character just lost his wife, and is spiraling in a pretty understandable manner. The interesting thing here though is timing. He lost his wife, Monica, Katie Strickland, in the Chicago Fire episode, Too Close, and while we know what is around the corner courtesy of the promo, we have to wait 3 weeks before seeing just how bad Pascal gets. What we do know is that Pascal will be paid a visit by Wallace Bowden, Eamon Walker, in the current season. The former chief of Firehouse 51 will be called upon to conduct an investigation after a 51 emergency call results in a house collapsing with a firefighter still inside. It's an occupational hazard, but Chief Pascal will no doubt be under the gun to provide answers as to why a firefighter wound up in harm's way, and given what we've seen about his current state of mind, we're skeptical that he will be able to instill confidence in his predecessor. What we're getting at is the end of Pascal's tenure with Firehouse 51 might be near. The character has slowly won over the Firehouse's various characters due to his fairness and stern approach, but he will really burn through a lot of his goodwill by tracking down the man indirectly responsible for Monica's death and accosting him in public. Both Stella Kidd, Miranda Ray Mayo, and Herman David Eigenberg are concerned about Pascal, and their opinions carry a lot of weight with Bowden. It's also worth noting that Mulroney is one of the biggest stars who has walked through the 51 doors, which immediately led some fans to question if his stint as chief was going to be brief. Pascal could, in retrospect, be the bridge between Bowden being chief and Herman taking over. The latter was not ready to step into Bowden's shoes in the season 12 finale, but he has had some time to assume more control in season 13, and Pascal has been eager to mentor him. We don't want to see Pascal leave per se. The character has been an intriguing addition to the cast, and Dermot Mulroney brings a different energy to the Firehouse, which cannot be taken for granted in a show that's been on the air for over a decade. But bearing some major changes or breakthroughs on the part of his character, Pascal is headed for a rude professional awakening, and the show is setting up Bowden to execute it. The atmosphere inside Firehouse 51 had been tense ever since Chief Tom Pascal took over. His leadership style, cold, rigid, and by the book, clashed with the camaraderie and heart that made 51 feel like a family. His arrival had shaken the Firehouse to its core, leaving even the most seasoned firefighters questioning their future. But the tide was about to turn. A familiar face had re-emerged in Chicago, one that could change everything. It started with whispers, rumors circulating among the ranks. First, it was Herman who overheard something at Molly's. Then Kidd caught wind of it through an old academy friend. By the time Bowden got word, it was no longer speculation, it was reality. Matt Casey was back. The very mention of Casey's name sent a ripple through Firehouse 51. His departure had left a void, and while many had done their best to move forward, his absence had been felt deeply. But this wasn't just a casual return visit. Word on the street was that Casey was looking to come back permanently. Chief Pascal wasn't blind to the impact Casey had on 51. He could see it in the way the firefighters straightened up when they spoke about him, in the barely contained excitement from Kidd and Severide, in the hopeful glances exchanged over morning coffee. Pascal, who had never managed to earn the full respect of his team, suddenly had a formidable challenge before him. Because if Casey was back, that meant change was coming, and not in Pascal's favor. It wasn't long before Casey made his way through the Firehouse doors. The moment he stepped inside, the energy shifted. Eyes lit up, shoulders relaxed, and even the walls seemed to breathe a little easier. Brett was the first to approach, unable to hide the emotion in her voice. "Casey," she said, the unspoken weight of everything that had transpired between them evident in her expression. "Hey Sylvie," he said softly. But before the tension could settle, Severide appeared, clapping Casey on the back. "Took you long enough," he smirked. "I had to make sure you guys weren't burning this place down without me," Casey shot back, his grin familiar, warm. Chief Pascal observed from a distance, jaw tight. He knew he had to act fast. A private meeting was called. Bowden, Pascal, and Casey sat in the office, the air thick with unspoken battles. Bowden, ever the composed leader, folded his hands and leaned forward. Casey, you've made quite the entrance, but I need to know, what's your intent? Casey didn't hesitate. I want back in. Pascal's scoff was barely restrained. You left. Firehouse 51 moved on. Casey's blue eyes locked onto Pascal's. Did it? A beat of silence. Then, Bowden interjected, voice even. Tom, we both know Casey isn't just any firefighter. He's a leader, a mentor, someone this team looks up to. Pascal stiffened. I lead this team now. Casey nodded, measured. And how's that working out? Another silence. This one louder than the last. The weeks that followed were a battle of influence. Casey, despite not yet being reinstated, was already stepping into a leadership role. He trained the probies, ran drills with Kid, and even had Herman listening to his advice. It wasn't intentional, at least, not entirely. It was just Casey being Casey. And that's what made him dangerous to Pascal. Tension between them escalated. Pascal started enforcing stricter policies, making it clear that he was still in charge. But 51 had already made their choice. They wanted Casey. Then came the fire that sealed Pascal's fate. It was a warehouse blaze on the city's south side. A tricky, unpredictable inferno that required quick thinking and trust among the team. Pascal, desperate to assert his authority, took command. His orders were precise but lacked the instinct and experience that defined Firehouse 51's strength. When Severide and Gallo got separated from the team, Pascal hesitated. The window for rescue was closing, but he refused to deviate from protocol. We wait for backup, he ordered, his voice unwavering. Casey, standing on the sidelines, saw the writing on the wall. He knew Pascal's hesitation could cost them lives. Without missing a beat, he grabbed his gear and charged in. Kid followed, then Cruz. Within moments they were inside, navigating the smoke and flames with precision. It was reckless, dangerous, but it was exactly what Firehouse 51 stood for. They emerged with Severide and Gallo, just as the structure gave way, collapsing in a roar of fire and debris. Casey turned to Pascal, his face streaked with soot but his eyes clear. That's how we do things here. The fallout was immediate. The firehouse, already divided, now had definitive proof of Pascal's failure. The department higher-ups took notice. Within days, rumors of Pascal's reassignment surfaced. He wasn't just losing control, he was losing his command. And then, the official word came down. Pascal was out. As the news spread through 51, there was no celebration, no overt displays of victory. That wasn't their style, but the relief was palpable. Because in the end, 51 wasn't just a firehouse. It was family, and now their family was whole again. As for Casey, he simply rolled up his sleeves and got to work, because that's what leaders do. The firehouse was buzzing with rumors, the kind that spread like wildfire even among those trained to put them out. A familiar name had been whispered through the halls of Firehouse 51, sending ripples of uncertainty through the ranks. When the doors swung open one afternoon and a figure stepped through, the murmurs stopped. There he was, Matt Casey. Casey's return to Firehouse 51 wasn't just a homecoming, it was a reckoning. Chief Tom Pascal, the recently appointed district chief, had already made waves, though not the kind that earned loyalty or admiration. Pascal was a numbers man, a by-the-book leader whose rigid approach had created tension within the house. He valued efficiency over camaraderie, policy over instinct, and bureaucracy over brotherhood. Firehouse 51 had endured a lot, but Pascal's leadership had tested even the most patient of firefighters.